Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
No, we reverted.
Everyone, welcome to the Spicy Cozy Fantasy Panel. I'm Jillian.
And I'm Maggie.
And we are the hosts of a podcast called A Podcast with Smut and Dragons. I don't know if you guys have ever listened to us. Be sure to do it if you haven't. We are with two wonderful authors today. AJ Lancaster, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm AJ Lancaster. I am beaming in from New Zealand in the future from Sunday morning. I write fantasy romance with fae and magic houses. It's a lot of what I write.
And we also have M. Stevenson with us. And M, if you want to introduce yourself, and we're going to get into some more introductions here. You can give yourself just a quick little introduction and tell us about your writings.
Your whole deal.
I'm M. Stevenson. I write at the moment mostly adult fantasy rom-coms. My debut is called Behooved, and it just came out in May, which is very exciting. I also write stuff that is not cozy and not smutty, but we'll stick to the cozy and smutty for this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Hey, we love that every once in a while too, we do this fun thing on our podcast. We usually do it at the end, but we're going to skip it at the beginning this time, where we like to describe books by mouthfeel. And by that, I mean, are you guys familiar with Lore Olympus? This is the example that I like to give, the comic. Okay, well, the one that I give for that is that webcomic is like eating a bowl of ice cold fruity pebbles on a city balcony at night in a quiet city.
Mm-hmm.
That's the vibe.
We're looking for kind of sensory
experience of the vibe of the book.
Atmosphere.
Yeah.
If you were to swish your book around in your
mouth and like feel how it feels in there, how would it feel in there?
And you can pick one of your books or maybe a group of your books.
Yeah.
Well, was this to both of us?
Yeah.
Yes,
you can go whatever order you like.
Well, my most recent release is called How to Find a Nameless Fae, which is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling with a middle-aged cursed princess.
Love.
And a lot of it is set in a magical house in fairies. So the mouthfeel would be very... You're in a garden, it's summer, there's birds, it's super warm, there's a smell of flowers, and a cat has just wandered up to sit on your lap, and then a hot man has appeared.
Hell yeah.
That's perfect. We love that.
Hell yeah. What about you, M?
I'm going to say Behooved is you're sitting by a fire in a cabin, and you have a cup of hot chocolate that's like very creamy and rich, and it is spiked with peppermint schnapps.
We love
10 out of 10 mouthfeels to both of you.
Honestly, you got the concept and you said, and
yes,
we understand. And you said yes, and and we love.
That's a really important part about mouthfeels. You can't think about it too hard.
You can't think about it too hard, or else it starts to get away from you.
Whatever top notes come to mind.
Exactly.
So I'll go ahead and jump in with our first question, and I think we'll take some chat questions at the end.
Yeah, I mean,
if we have time.
Yeah, or whenever they come in.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
So first question, just to start off with the spicy cozy fantasy panel. In your opinion, what is the value of on-page intimacy in a romance? And for you specifically as an author, what was your choice for establishing like a specific amount of spice? And we can start with M since AJ went first last time.
Sure. I think for me, on-page intimacy is all about character development and relationship development. I know for some people, like the titillation is also exciting and fun.
Mm-hmm.
I think like when I'm writing it, it's because it's what I feel like the characters need to develop their relationship. Because there's just so much opportunity in like that on-page intimacy to like push them in different directions and like see them interacting in like new ways and like new like power negotiations and personality negotiations, and just bringing out like a different part of them that deepens their connection in a way that you can't get otherwise.
Yeah. I think you're right in the fact that we all can have a different flavor to us when we are intimate with someone. 100%. What about you, AJ?
I totally agree. It's a way of sort of showing different aspects of the relationship development. I feel like spice is always, well, for me anyway, it's always kind of secondary to the romance. So it's like one of the tools to show the romance. Like it's like there are books where the spice is the thing.
The point.
Right?
Yeah.
But for me, the romance comes first, and then the spice is one of the tools you can use to kind of like enhance certain aspects of it. I always like to say I love it when the sex makes everything worse.
Yeah.
Problems that they have to kind of deal with because they thought they could just bang it out and
and then be done with it.
And they'd be done with it. And no, now they've got feelings. Like
yeah, I agree. It's a great way to show and not tell so much about the growing parts of their relationship, their romance, also the parts where they can kind of butt heads, but also just a lot of like their internality when these things are happening. It puts you in a very different headspace. And I feel it is a personal opinion of mine that in this genre, especially if you've established a element like, you know, the character is a virgin or like this is an arranged marriage or something like that, it's often almost detrimental to the story if you don't show it. I've read books where they've like written all the way up to the point and then faded to black and then did a debrief afterward about all the things that we learned.
I remember that book.
When we were faded to black. And I was like, what?
Yeah, if it's that point of change and it's not on page, you feel a bit cheated as a reader, like, oh, but they had this big emotional
they have this big emotional buildup, and like the breaking point is the moment where they finally give into it.
Yeah, it's like there's all this tension building up to it, so it's really satisfying when you get there to actually like let that tension have its moment of release.
Exactly.
Yeah, I feel I should also caveat by saying that my books are often like they're not having sex for a lot of the books. So there's quite a lot of like
it's a lot of time for the tension to build and build and build. Yeah. Absolutely. Do we have any? We don't. What do you guys have any books or authors other than yourselves that you are really excited about right now? Any upcoming releases or any favorites that you really love from the genre?
This is the question where we forget every book that we've ever read.
it's so easy. It's like every time I need to pull up my story graph, like what have I even read? I don't remember ever reading a single word ever.
Yeah, I'm currently reading Voidwalker by S.A. McLean, which is a monster romance, and the tension in it is so delicious. The love interest is a man-eating carnivore who preys on humans. So like there's all these really fascinating power dynamics between him and the main character. Like, you know, you eat my species and I'm attracted to you. Just like, it's just so well done. And like there's all of this like predator prey dynamics and like different forms of power. And like I finally like just hit the point where, you know, they actually get it on after all of this drawn out tension. And it's really
love. There is just something about a monster romance. It's just got that sauce. If any of you have watched our podcast before, you know that's one of my preferred genres.
Yeah.
I love a monster romance. And is that like it adds an extra level of tension and like sort of initial separation of the characters that they have to overcome. Is this like whether it's like a bestial nature or just like a societal separation or like
anatomical differences
that we need to overcome. It's just I love it.
Yeah. So Voidwalker, we're writing that
we're writing that one down for later. I'm gonna have to look that one up.
When you said upcoming books, I remembered that this book came out earlier this year, Wooing the Witch Queen by Stephanie Burgess, which doesn't have a huge amount of spice, but has a little bit. And the thing I really enjoyed about it is it sort of flips the gender dynamic. So she's the sort of she's the evil queen. She's quite headstrong, take charge, and the male love interest is the sort of nerdy librarian. And when they finally get to it, one, it sort of makes everything worse, which is great. I love that. Two, it has the kind of it has sort of flips that gender dynamic where she's sort of taking the lead and he's very into it. But the second one I know is coming out very soon, so which I got to read an advanced copy of, and I'm very excited about. So
I do love the dynamic change. Yeah,
and that one specifically also has like a very like buttoned up, very chaste kind of man, which that's his whole shtick. And her thing is that she's a sort of seductress fae queen. So
yeah.
Love. There's a comment in here from Mario who says, but why is it the monster always male? What about the female monsters? Don't they get to have some love? Now, this is something that I think about a lot. I'm always on the lookout for a good sapphic monster romance. They're a little bit harder to find. They do exist. But there's also things like Radley's Home for Horny Monsters. Listen, Radley's Home for Horny Monsters is about one human man and a bunch of different monster girls. So if you're looking for monster girls, that series is long and there's a lot going on. Also, what was I going to say?
There was one that you recommended that was a Gorgon.
Yeah, she was a Gorgon.
There was an innkeeper. Very cozy.
It was not a fantasy really. It was more of like a paranormal modern romance where she was a Gorgon, and I think the other one might have been a witch. But yeah, there are definitely ones out there with female monsters, either in sapphic relationships or the female is a monster and the male love interest is
I love some of these recommendations too. Demon World Boba Shop. He's human. She's a water elemental.
Ooh,
love.
Yeah. There was also the other one that I read, Howl for the Gargoyle by Lillian. Oh my God, I can't remember her last name right now. I have to look it up. But that one is about a female werewolf and a male gargoyle. So they're both monsters, but it was very cute.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, that went dark. Oops.
So talking about monster romance, would you consider yourselves monster romance authors? Because it's kind of, both of your books have a little bit of a monstery kind of element.
Yeah, I personally would not. I think I wouldn't really consider it a shapeshifter romance either, because like the shapeshifting in mindset, like the premise is that there's an arranged marriage and the main character accidentally turns her new husband into a horse on their wedding night. So we've got a horse by day, man by night thing. But it's a curse. It's not that he is a shapeshifter, so they're like trying to break the curse. And I feel like for me, one of the defining things about monster romance is that like some more significant part of the romance like revolves around them being a monster and like takes place like with monsterhood. And there's no bestiality or anything like that. It's like the attraction is only when he's a man. So I don't think for me I would consider it a monster romance.
Yeah, I agree. More of a curse.
Yeah. What about you, AJ?
I have asked myself this question before when it comes to fae romance, because fae, the way I write fae, they quite often have like non-human parts. You know, they have horns or wings, or in my most recent one, he has a tail, and he also has some extra bits of anatomy. And I was like, where is the line between? But I think I would say it might have crossover appeal to monster romance readers, but I hesitate to kind of label it as that genre because I feel like monster romance kind of comes with a set of expectations that I don't think it would perhaps meet, because it's not really about that. It's like a little bonus, but not.
Little bonus element.
I would say it feels. I think specifically with yours.
Oh, and he also has cat ears.
Yeah. I was gonna say that's one of my favorite parts about him specifically.
More fantastical than than
I think it
Monster.
could be like an intro. It could be a
Sure.
light.
I feel like if you don't read monster romance, you might think that.
Yeah.
It could be a gateway drug.
It could be a gateway into an actual monster romance down the line. Because you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. You can't just skip right to sleep paralysis demons and dragons with multiple wieners.
Yeah.
Like, we have to start somewhere. You know, we have to start small.
Oh my gosh. So actually I wanted to jump into maybe some individual questions so AJ, talking about how to find a nameless fae. What was the choice? And M. Stevenson, you can jump into this as well. What was the choice? Tell me about the choice to make Giselle 40 years old, middle-aged.
Love an older MC.
Yeah.
It's
oh gosh.
So we see a lot of 21-year-olds in this genre.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I think
it's always exciting to see something that breaks the general mold in something, you know?
Yeah, I think it was part of that not that I don't also enjoy a 21-year-old heroine, but I kind of increasingly felt like, why do we assume that particularly women can only have adventures and only find love
when they're young,
in a very narrow age band of like very youthful, kind of in that very young adult, in the sense of they're an adult who is young, not in the sense of the books. Like why can't people find love when they're,
later in life,
sort of middle age kind of.
It also brings in some interesting points to hit. There's a wisdom and like things that happen to you that you only learn when you're older, as opposed to when you're like 19, that make, I think, putting an older person, putting a 40-year-old into a fantasy novel scenario, they're going to have a very different reaction than a child basically is. Like someone barely not a child is. They have a lot more life experience to handle a crisis. So I think that could be very interesting to see how someone who is an adult acts in those, in like a solid adult acts in those situations. I always think that that's fun.
Have you gotten any feedback on that from your reading audience about her age?
I feel like I should have anticipated this. Like people have been really positive, but pretty much everyone comments on it. Whereas I guess I put it in purposefully, but I didn't think it was that big a deal. But so it's been sort of nice, but also strange that it's kind of like the number one thing people ask about. So I'm like, I guess she is 40, but the story's not really about her being 40. But,
right.
And I do love that it starts
I love
on her
reaction.
40th birthday.
Yeah. Yeah, it sort of told me that I guess there is sort of an untapped, well, not untapped, but like there's demand for these kinds of books out there clearly, because people have commented on it so positively, but also in the sort of like, oh, I haven't found many books like this and I would like more. So it's sort of like, oh, it's good to know that other people also were interested, and it wasn't just me.
Yeah.
100%. Speaking of representation, your specific heroine has a chronic illness, and I think this is something you have touched on before. I believe you have writings in an anthology about. Can you tell me a little bit about this representation in fantasy for?
Yeah, absolutely. So my main character, she does have a chronic illness. It is not named in the text like of the story, because kind of like the way that I was building the world, they wouldn't have like the terminology for it. But it's modeled after celiac disease, which I have and was diagnosed with when I was 4. So fortunately, I, unlike my main character, know exactly what's going on.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I think like it. That was the first time when I wrote Behooved that I had ever written that into a novel. And I think I just wanted to see it in fantasy, you know, because when you read fantasy, like so little of it has chronic illness representation or disability representation at all. And if it's there, then it's usually like the side character that they're learning a tragic lesson from. So it was really fun and rewarding and kind of therapeutic to put that into an adventure where like she gets to have a romance and maybe not have a great time because she's not very happy for a lot of it, but the reader gets to have a fun time and she doesn't like have to change that about herself to have a happy ending.
You can be a romantic lead without being a perfectly healthy, perky-titted 19-year-old. And that's beautiful. And I love that. And I love seeing more of that. Like,
and you
more
can
of
go
that
on
comes out every day.
adventures.
Yeah.
You can have an adventure.
Yeah. You can accidentally curse someone. It happens sometimes.
Life does happen to you.
It happens sometimes.
That's so funny. We had a question up here that I really liked.
It was something, I forget the wording, but it was how are we balancing spiciness with coziness? What role do love scenes play in the cozy elements, low stakes, etc.? However you define cozy stories.
Yeah, I think for me, it's kind of what the story is about. So if the story is a romance, first and foremost, then I feel like the love scenes and intimate scenes are kind of, for how I like to write romance anyway, I think that they're a fairly integral part of the character arcs and the relationship arc. But if you're writing like a found family story, which a lot of cozy is, then maybe spice would feel a little bit more out of left field. So I guess it's just kind of like what serves the story best.
Yeah.
I reckon it's kind of the same way I define cozy and what makes books cozy is vibes. It's vibes all the way down. And I think, so the spicy is kind of, if it's the vibes of cozy, then it fits in a cozy fantasy novel. If the vibes of the spice are not cozy, then it's so totally jarring. Like I think you can do pretty much any kind of spice in a cozy book as long as the vibes are also cozy.
Right.
If it's like turning into real like dark, grim kind of spice, that's quite, like I feel like there's certain kinks that would be quite hard to make cozy, but I'm not going to say you couldn't do them, but I feel like you would have to be a better author than me to do them. But
and it's also
keeping the vibes cohesive with the overall tone of the spice.
100%. Yeah, we can't be having like mafia romance level stuff going on.
That would be but it would have to be like blithely kind of glossing over the sort of
murder and all that.
All having off
he's the best guy around. Cozy Mafia is very funny.
That's not a bad idea.
If someone wants to write me a cozy mafia, I'd love to see that happen. I'd love to see how you figure that out.
Well, because I was thinking, I was like, could you do like cozy BDSM? And then I was like, I think that would be difficult. But then I'm like, maybe you could do it. Like, it all sort of depends. I reckon it's tone matching with the vibes.
Yeah, I agree.
I think also with this question, it kind of gives a tone that says spicy is not necessarily cozy. And I don't think that's true. How do you balance spicy with cozy when in fact they are one and the same? They can be. They're not opposites. I think,
all things can be cozy if we try hard and believe in ourselves. Yes.
Oh, that's interesting. So talking about continuing on with spice, talking about spicy scenes, all of this, is there, I think people have divisive opinions about the euphemisms in spicy scenes and specifically maybe words for parts, if you get my drift. What are your preferred euphemisms?
Or do you have any that are not, that you're just like, I don't like it. That one goes to jail right now.
This is live.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in and say I think the worst euphemism I read, which was not in a cozy book, but I never want to read again, was they used the term sweet pocket, and I was like, no, absolutely not.
I don't love that.
Sweet pocket.
Sweet pocket's
Yeah, it's
bad.
like, no.
Sweet pocket is
What
bad.
am I in? What are you, Willy Wonka?
Again, it's all personal preference. Preferences
Yeah.
are valid. You can like what you like. But my own, if it's like a word that makes me laugh, then I kind of don't want to read it in a sex scene unless the sex scene is intended to make me laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard. You gotta well.
I like kind of I like sort of invisible words like the word cock.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like you can just, it doesn't trip you up as like,
Yeah.
oh, that's made me laugh a bit. But I also like kind of, I also often talk around it, like, like you'd say like using pronouns rather than body parts. I quite like to do that as well.
Okay. Or his member.
How do authors know how much spice to put in or cut? And have they ever freaked out and cut something they regretted after?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I think for me, honestly, it's kind of hilarious that I'm on this panel. I am so uncomfortable writing spice. It is like the most difficult scenes for me to write.
Welcome.
I mean, I've been told that I do it well, and like maybe that's because like I have to put so much work into every scene, and I keep doing this to myself where I write these books where they call for these scenes, and I'm like, what have I done?
What have I done?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's kind of just what I'm comfortable with. Because like then when I'm working on it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is like the most spicy thing ever, and then I read it back, and I'm like, this is so tame. So then I like amp it up a little bit. Yeah.
It's easy to get embarrassed. It's one thing to read it when somebody else wrote it. It's another thing to put my own words on the page.
Like my reading tolerance is much higher than like I think it's what I'm comfortable with and what seems to work with the book. Because if I cut it like short and fade to black, then it does feel like we were talking about earlier. It can feel like it's kind of a cop out after all.
Right.
Up to it.
I
want to give them their moment.
Yeah. It can be important.
I feel like I have had to kind of like slowly increase my comfort level, which you can kind of see over my books, where the amount of spice has sort of slowly increased over time. And some of that's not because I didn't write the spice in the earlier books, it's because I chickened out and kind of toned it down and cut it back, which I slightly regret doing. And so I am sort of enjoying kind of slowly embracing the kind of comfort level of being like, no, this does belong in the books and I'm not going to chicken out this time.
Yeah.
But,
definitely.
You're going to tell yourself that like, I like reading this. Other people will like reading, even though I feel cringe about it right now.
More power to you.
Yeah.
You kind of just have to pretend while you're writing it that no one will
ever see it.
No one will ever see it.
This is still just a Tumblr post.
Yes.
Yeah, your parents definitely won't read it.
No.
My mother
will tell you they enjoyed reading it.
How do you deal with that? Do you let your parents read your books? Or do you say, no, you guys, you can know about it, but don't read it?
I mean, I do have some regrets around my family knowing my pen name, so I can't stop them.
Yeah.
But I know, like, my mother wouldn't be embarrassed. It's impossible to embarrass her. It's about me being embarrassed.
Yeah.
We just mutually pretend that, I mean, she's never mentioned them. I've never mentioned them. As far as I'm concerned, she just didn't read those pages. It's fine.
That's fair.
I would rather pretend that, but unfortunately, my parents seem to be a little bit too comfortable talking about having read it.
Oh man!
So I'm just like, okay, let's change the topic now. We're gonna pretend that didn't happen. Goodbye.
Oh man, that's a bummer. I'm sorry.
Gwendolyn says, is spice created more with physical intimacy or with mental vulnerability?
That's a great question. I think when people say spice, they're usually referring to the physical parts. But at least like the way that I approach it and the reason that I like writing that sort of scene is because it's all about the vulnerability. Like it's a very vulnerable place to be with somebody else. And that's part of like why it advances the relationship so much and why you can do so much with it on a character level.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that spiciness, like how spicy a book feels, is not necessarily like related to like how much they're technically going at it.
Yeah.
Like it's a lot about the emotions around it and the words you choose and how it feels to the characters. Can create quite a different impression of how much spice was in a book, which if you actually like went through with like a tally sheet and added up, you'd be like, oh, it actually wasn't that much, but it felt really spicy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the words that you use can have like a huge impact on that because the same scene, if you're relying on euphemisms versus not euphemisms, can have a very different feel.
Yeah, it can go like it's all about tone, right? Like you could write a spicy scene very romantically with lots of like beautiful flowery language, make it like very poetic almost, and that even if there's more scenes like that is going to feel less spicy than something that is dirty, just filthy.
Yeah.
Even if there's only one scene.
Yeah, agreed. Oh, we had a question about spice level. Where did it go? Oh, interesting. Has your spice level ever created difficulty with marketing and advertising?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. Yeah.
I know it can cause issues for indie authors, more so with the covers in terms of what advertising you can do. Like some platforms have sort of strict controls on use of particular words in titles or on covers, but my covers are not, I mean, the cover is not spicy to look at, so it's not an issue I've ever had with advertising. With marketing, because I have books that have less spice in them, it has occasionally caused me conflict as I've increased spice over time, just with your trying to communicate that to your audience, because you don't want people to pick up your book who are going to be very angry if there's any spice in it, and then they leave you a 1-star review being like, I didn't realize there's going to be spice in it. I hate spice. 1 star.
Right. So. It's all about setting expectation, the proper expectation.
Trying to set the expectation correctly.
Yeah. Denise says, what do you look for in an audiobook narrator for your spicy scenes? I love an audiobook, but it can get a little awkward sometimes in a spicy scene if the narrator is not 100% like just commit to it.
Yeah.
Just commit to the fact that it's going to feel maybe cringe to do alone in your booth or your closet or wherever they record. But you can tell when a narrator is not, is uncomfortable a little bit or like feels like they're being cringe. You can tell the point in which they start to feel a little less confident. And a lot of spicy scenes sort of rely on the narrator sounding very confident and just saying it.
Just going for it.
And just going for it. That can really make or break a romance audiobook for me, honestly.
Do you have audiobooks for these 2 books yet? Or for your current books?
For How to Find a Nameless Fae, the audiobook comes out in December.
Love.
So that's exciting.
That is exciting.
You have an audiobook. Yeah, so my debut is traditionally published, and Macmillan has its whole own audio department. So they were going to do an audiobook from the beginning, which is very exciting. And I did get some input on which narrator, and we ended up getting Natalie Naudis, who was my top choice, so which was very exciting.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't specifically thinking about the spicy scenes when we went with her, but I did know that she has experience narrating. I think she does like a sapphic spicy series that she narrates, which I was very excited about. Yeah, and of course, when I got the audiobook, that was like one of the first scenes that I skipped to because I was just so curious.
I need to know.
I need to know. Need to know.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you, Caroline asked, do you prefer duet narration for spicy audiobooks? Why or why not?
Ooh.
I think it sort of depends, for me, just depends on the book. I think
And
duet narration,
we've
if
talked
there's
about
a
this as
dual
well.
POV,
Yeah,
is really good.
Yeah, we've talked about this before as well, where there can be a difference in duet and dual narration, where
Dual narration being there is a female voice actor and a male voice actor, and they read their chapters completely. And duet being he reads all the boy lines, she reads all the girl lines.
kind of thing.
Yeah. Regardless of which chapter it's in. I think that that's really, really nice to have in any book that has a dual POV. Especially more like contemporary romance that has a dual POV.
Yeah.
With fantasy, I think sometimes just one narrator works better, especially if there's just the one POV.
What about y'all? What do you prefer?
I'm not really an audiobook listener, honestly. Like I just zone out too much. Yeah, so I don't really have an opinion on it.
I've never actually listened to a duet one yet. So I've only ever listened to single narrator ones, which if the narrator's good, it's been great. Although I mean, sometimes I can't listen to the spicy scenes as audiobooks because I have this fear that something will connect to Bluetooth and that scene specifically to like everyone in the world at the least an appropriate time. Like, so I have a paranoia about that. But so.
There's been moments where I'm in my car and I'm like, they can hear me.
They can hear me.
We're at the red light and that person can hear.
Everybody knows.
Everybody knows.
Yeah, I will walk through Target with the spicy audiobook right in here.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, oh my God, what did she do? She did what? Where?
Grabbing the trash bags.
Someone says duet narration is expensive, lots of editing. And it is. That's why I say it's nice to have, but it's not necessary because it is a lot more expensive to make a duet narration audiobook. So I understand when they don't make that choice. Lately I prefer single narrator. Yeah, I get that.
I will say for M, you said you're not much of an audiobook listener. I will say I've noticed with many people that say, oh, I can't do an audiobook. You don't do an audiobook when you're sitting on your couch. You do an audiobook when you're cleaning your house. Yeah. When you're driving or cooking.
A road trip is a great time. Road trip is a great time
that's
to
the
pull
only
out
time
an
I've been
audiobook.
able to get through one.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to be doing something else while doing the audiobook.
That's the moment. And it has to be the right one. If the narrator's not hitting, I just can't.
Yeah. I did have someone tell me once, no, I just sit and listen. And I said, what kind of psychopathic behavior?
Sitting. I just imagine sitting in my house like, wow.
No. No way. That's crazy.
Oh my gosh.
We didn't get to this question, but I really wanted to ask for your characters in your books, and it doesn't have to be these specific books. It could be any books that you've written. What characters or characteristics inspires your romantic leads, or are there any kind of life experiences that inspire you? Movies, TV shows?
Yeah.
I think for me, like I put like a little bit like different parts of myself into all of my main characters. So like none of them are modeled on me, but it's kind of fun to have different aspects to explore. And especially like with a romance, because, you know, it's two characters falling in love. It's kind of beautiful to like put two different things that maybe I struggle with into the different characters and have them fall in love with that part of themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of inspiration, like anything really, I don't model them on like actual people or on other characters, but like sometimes archetypes are fun, or sometimes it just like comes from the premise of the story of like what sort of character would fit this story.
For your two main characters in Behooved, what did you put into those specifically?
So for Behooved, I knew from the start that they were going to be like nobles, because the premise came to me first, and I knew that it had to be an arranged marriage, or else there was like no other reason for them to get together. So I thought about like what sort of like characteristics like a noble person might have. So I wanted them both to be like fairly like driven by duty, because the wordplay of Behooved was part of the whole like origin of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, they just kind of went from there. Like I'll do little character maps before I start, with like what I think like their flaws are and their strengths. But it really takes me like actually writing it to get to know them, and then they turn into people.
Yeah. What about you, AJ?
I think the male main character in How to Find a Nameless Fae came to me first as sort of part of the story seed of, I had this idea of this Fae man, opening his front door and finding on his doorstep the firstborn that he bargained for, like, but they're grown up now, and and then being like, how did you forget about me? Like, what are you doing? And then from there kind of came like, well, what sort of person would do that? And I was like, oh, okay, so he's kind of quite chaotic and a bit terrible. And I think in a way he's sort of a bit of a mashup of Howl from Howl's Moving Castle. And also when I was younger, I watched quite a lot of Inuyasha with the like ears. And I think that's where the ears inspiration might have come from, that specifically, even though he's a fox, not a cat.
Yeah.
Yes, I sort of ended up with this sort of chaotic, like he has a good heart, but maybe didn't make the best decisions, flustered, panicked kind of thing. And then the heroine kind of came to me as the sort of countering force for that, of like a lot more kind of pragmatic, but then also she's been forgotten about all her life, so she has self-worth issues and anxiety issues, and yeah, that's where it kind of came from.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's great. I love the your specifically with your male main character having the cat ears
to show his moods,
that show his moods.
Yeah.
That was that's a really great detail.
Mm-hmm. I always love a detail like that, especially with a character that is a little less human, like varying on the slightly less human to monster scale. There's always something fun about when a character has a different way of showing their emotions than a human strictly would. Like in A Soul to Keep by Opal Rain. I don't know if you guys have read that. Their faces are skulls, so they don't move, but their eyes change color depending on their mood, which is always fun. They also can't hide it. So if they're having an emotion, they don't want it to be known. They have to like look away or something like that. And it's always adds an interesting, fun element to reading those characters and how they.
And it's a creative way to still make them be vulnerable with terrifying skull faces.
I prefer ethereal.
Ethereal.
Okay, maybe a little spooky. Okay.
Maybe a little spooky.
Maybe a little spooky, but it's fine.
Still open up for questions here as well. Oh, do you prefer male or female narrator?
For a single narrator, I think it depends on who the main POV is. I think the narrator should, if it's just a single narrator, it should match whoever the main POV character is.
I will say I prefer hearing a female presenting voice trying to do male voices rather than a male presenting trying to do female voices.
And some of them do it better than others, but especially some of the male narrators, they have very deep voices, which is great in a romance, but then they struggle sometimes to do the female voice. It sounds a little cartoony sometimes. So I get that.
Sometimes it feels a little insulting. When I'm like,
that's what you think we sound like?
But then I hear myself, I'm like, oh no, I do sound like that.
What's the next book on your TBR? Do you have anything that you're excited to read right now?
I have just started reading the first book's called A Rivalry of Hearts by Tessonja Odette, and there's a couple books out, but I haven't read them yet, so I'm planning to work my way through them.
Okay.
Where I'm going next.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually have Enchanting the Fae Queen up pretty high on my TBR at the moment, and we were talking about that.
It's really good. You'll enjoy it.
It's like I will read anything that she writes. So I'm very excited for it.
Enchanting the Fae Queen. Wait, we're like looking it up. Let's see. Well, I can go too. So I could go too. I'm on this panel. I actually just finished. I'm a little late in the game, but I just finished The House of on the Cerulean Sea. Was sleeping on it. It's so beautiful. And then I'm gonna probably try I found a book called Loot, which is it's a little bit of a spooky one.
Ooh,
yeah, it's a Happy Halloween. It's a island where everything is very prosperous. They're kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Isolated from the rest of it's off of the UK, and everything is very prosperous. But every 7 years, 7 people disappear, and it's just a thing that happens. Nobody knows why. Nobody knows where they go, but everybody just kind of goes, yeah, they just disappear. But then everything's good. We don't have wars. We don't have, economy issues. So Lute, Loot. And I'll give you the author. What about you? What's your upcoming book?
Oh my gosh.
Jennifer Thorne with an E.
I'm currently reading, or I just started, what is it called?
I never remember.
I never can remember anything about anything ever. Lillian Lark, that's her full name.
There she is.
Lark.
Oh, you do love her.
I love her. I'm currently reading Married to the Devil, which is the 4th or the 5th book in the series, but it's the one where it's a witch and a gargoyle that she has like a arranged marriage type situation with, but she's also in love with like the demon devil that she knew previously, and I think they kind of get like a throuple thing going on, which I always enjoy watching those dynamics play out when there's a 3-person scenario, especially in like heightened monster situations like that, where are characters that are dominant in a monstrous sort of way, animalistic sort of way. I think that's very cool and fun. A Very Secret Society for Irregular Witches.
That's a great one.
That has been on my TBR for a long time. And every time I go to the bookstore, I look at it and I go, that looks good. And then I go, I'll get to that. And then I forget.
It is good.
Yeah, probably fave. Rachel says that it's probably their fave from this year. So I'll have to pop that one up.
That was the one that Meg
T. Room just came out.
Did the second one
Did
come
it?
out? Okay.
Oh.
I believe that was the one that Meg's Tea Room, when she came on our show, she recommended that one, as that is her like go-to cozy fantasy rec for anyone to start the genre. We had a couple of other questions. Book with the most unhinged scene you've ever seen. Unhinged.
Everyone's line is in a different place for that, don't we think?
Good way or a bad way?
Like, there have been unhinged scenes that made me stop and go, maybe I'm done.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm done with this one.
Hey everybody, Jolly and Misty here. We're
Hi.
just coming up to the end of our first morning of
Oh.
Con. So we're moving to essentially just
Tea time.
It's tea time. So it's time for lunch and tea, and you can join Misty. She'll be sitting there with some tea, and we'll be happy to chat with people in the chat.
I'll start a new live.
We're going to start a new live here. Before we log out, I just wanted to say thank you to all of our authors who've come so far. Please do come. You guys get to come join us too, even in the secret author Discord. Feel free. Other than that, I just wanted to share a really funny story. My darling wife here loves to listen to your.
Oh no.
She loves to listen to your podcast, Jillian and Maggie, in the car. Of course, sometimes the car likes to automatically turn on what was last being listened to. So I had one occasion where I picked somebody up from work and it popped on, and it was in the middle of one of your spicier discussions. So I think it popped on. It was like, yes, when you're discussing, the anatomical design of a dragon penis.
Dragon penis.
Hey, we don't want to YouTube the papas out. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
See,
so
the paranoia
sorry.
is just
It's important to discuss the nitty gritty of what's going on down there sometimes.
It's integral to the plot.
If there's a knot, I want to know.
My dear coworker kind of just looks at me. He's like, I guys, Claire, it's my wife. She's listening to it for the articles.
Yeah.
Listening to the article.
I have moments where I'm editing and my headphones will die and my husband hears whatever we're discussing and is like, right, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm gonna end stream here and go grab some tea and lunch, everybody. Authors too. Ta-ta.
Thank you so much,
Thanks for
everybody.
coming.